All right, so this is the mock speaking test for the International English Language Testing System, conducted on Friday, January 17th, 2020 at GTLS in Mississauga. The candidate is Ken, candidate number 100106. The examiner is Sarah. So good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Sarah. Can you tell me your full name, please?
My name is Kenneth Anthony Fernandez.
Thank you. Can you tell me where you're from?
I'm from Mississauga, Ontario.
Thank you. And can I see your identification, please?
Yes, I can. Here you go.
Thank you. Thank you. That's fine. Now, in this first part, I'd like to ask you some questions about yourself.
Sure.
Let's talk about what you do. Do you work or are you a student?
I'm a business owner.
Thank you. And what do you do in your job?
I wear many different hats, actually. So as a business owner, I take on many roles. We basically own an English school in Mississauga where we predominantly teach English to international students. But as a business owner wearing many hats, we take on roles in addition to teaching, such as management, administration, registration of students, social media, promotions of our business. So it's an ongoing thing, and yeah.
Thank you. And what is more important to you, the work that you do or the people you work with?
Both go hand in hand, but I would probably have to say that the people I work with are the most important thing, because when we started the business, or prior to starting the business, I was working at another school where we taught English to students. I love the idea of being able to communicate and meet students and not only just teach them, but to make friends. Of course, the salary being low, I had to ask myself, how can I continue this without having to deal with low income? And that's when we started the business. And it's great because we help more people, people help us in return. And when you, as they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
Thank you. All right, let's talk about math.
Yes.
So when did you first start learning math?
Mathematics, wow. Like I started learning mathematics back in grade 1, I guess, when our teachers were teaching us the basics of addition and subtraction. And then later on, we continued into grade 2, where we started learning multiplication tables, and bringing us all the way up to grade 12, where I had to learn calculus because my original dream was to get into engineering.
Thank you. And did you use an electronic calculator in the classroom?
We used electronic calculators closer to grade 12, I guess, when the mathematics became more complex.
Thank you. And is it important to learn math?
I think mathematics is very important, but it depends on what your application for math is. So if you're going to become an engineer, then mathematics is of utmost importance. But I think the most fundamental area of math that I think everybody needs to learn is financial math. Like math to be able to calculate day-to-day things, for example, the dimensions of a room, or how much it's gonna cost to renovate the house or whatnot. And I think math, again, of course, as I mentioned, finance is to be able to manage your budget and your expenses and income on a regular basis. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's talk next about jeans. So do you like to wear jeans?
I like jeans depending on what the occasion might be. Usually I prefer khakis. Like I've recently gotten a GQ magazine. I like the styles there. So I'll wear jeans, I guess, if I'm going out for a casual event or going out with my friends to a pub, but most of the time I prefer to wear khakis.
Thank you. And did you wear jeans in school?
No. Well, I did wear jeans up until high school, because in high school we had to wear a uniform. It was this gray dress pants, white shirt, and a terrible cardigan that I did not like. But after high school, after I graduated high school, then I went back to wearing jeans. But then I guess part of wearing a uniform remained in my psyche, where I kind of wanted to look decent. So I did wear the occasional dress shirt and khakis and gray pants, actually.
Thank you. And are there ever any times when it is not appropriate to wear jeans?
Well, definitely, there are numerous cases where you can't wear jeans. The first one that comes off the bat would be going to a wedding or some kind of formal gathering where you have to wear a suit and look good. Interestingly, this does not apply in Vietnam because in Vietnam, it's very common for people to wear jeans in such situations. Other cases where you do not want to wear jeans would be at a funeral, of course, because it's out of respect for the dead and their family members as well. And then, of course, any other event or business or company that does not allow jeans within the facilities. So.
Thank you. Now, in the second part, I'm going to give you a topic, and I'd like you to speak about it for 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay.
Before you speak, you'll have 1 minute to think about what you're going to say, and you can make some notes if you wish. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, so here's a piece of paper and pen. Now, for your topic, I'd like you to describe a famous person, not from your original country, whom you would like to meet.
Okay. All right. So the question is
Well, you still have some time to prepare.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So remember, you have 1 to 2 minutes for this.
Yes.
So don't worry if I stop you. I'll let you know when the time is
Okay,
up.
perfect.
Can you start speaking now, please?
Great. There are so many famous people in the world that I would like to meet, but if I could narrow down the number of famous people to one, it would have to be Richard Branson. And the reason why I like Richard Branson stems from many years ago when I was young. I love trains, I love train traveling, I love collecting. And what had happened was there was a locomotive called the Flying Scotsman that was they needed someone to save it because it was about to be thrown into the scrap yards. And this is a locomotive that achieved 100 miles an hour for the first time. So Richard Branson, owner of the Virgin Company, had bought it with his own money, restored it, and that's when I opened my eyes to this guy, like, who is Richard Branson? It ends up that Richard Branson owns numerous different businesses, from train companies to recording companies. He once had one of the largest recording studios, which he eventually sold. And he owns numerous different companies where he stretches his brand right across. So what makes Richard Branson unique in comparison to other famous people or famous business people is the fact that he's human. He doesn't separate himself from the general public. And everything that he does is more on a jovial and humorous level. Many business owners take their work way too seriously, where he comes to work wearing jeans sometimes. He refuses to wear a tie, and he's a lot more laid back. Or he comes across as someone that is laid back, but he's a really easygoing person, and he makes his businesses fun. I mean, the whole name Virgin just screams, this is fun, this is energy, and basically his foundation of all his businesses is the customer service. He says, basically, if you want customers to have a good time, make sure your employees are having a good time. Make sure your whole company culture is based around that philosophy of having fun, because it transcends down to your customers.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to take back the booklet or the papers. And
Okay, perfect. There you go.
Thank you. All right, so we've been talking about a famous person whom you'd really like to meet.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask you 1 or 2 more general questions related to this. So let's talk first of all about celebrities. So why do you think that people look up to celebrities?
I think first and foremost, it's the status that the celebrity has. It depends. There are 2 things that people may go for. Number 1 is the status, especially when people are young. They look at famous people and how beautiful girls or handsome guys gravitate to those people. And for people like me, for example, growing up, I wasn't very attractive. So for me, this was like someone to look up to say, wow, I want to be like that person. Maybe if I learn about acting or become a director, I'll become more successful. The other side to the coin is the money. So you can imagine a lot of these celebrities driving sports cars, living in fancy houses. So anyone who has aspirations to own these kinds of things will look to celebrities and say, hey, if I become an actor or follow their path and way of life, then maybe I'll attain these same riches, the same kind of wealth.
And do you think that celebrities on the whole deserve as much attention as they get?
That's a really interesting question. Celebrities, they're in the mainstream media, they're in the movies, they're all over. So it all comes down, I guess, to the business model of cinema. So if it's no different from a public speaker like Tony Robbins who goes and motivates people. If you are able to get everybody, like 1 million people, to pay $1 to hear you speak or to watch you in the media, then you'll make $1 million. Except here, you've got a lot of the movies and subsequently the actors that make almost 10 million in gross earnings. So I believe if people are willing to pay, then they've deserved their earning and their keep, I guess.
And do you think that now that social media has become so popular, is it easier to become a celebrity today than it used to be?
I would say when social media first started, let's say like 2006, 2007, probably a little later when Facebook was evolving, it would have been easier. But the reality is now is becoming famous on social media is like yelling into a crowded room. There's so many people, so many celebrities and wannabe celebrities that are in social media fields, for example, social media platforms such as YouTube and Facebook, that it's really hard to make yourself known, even if you are using the hashtags and the keywords to draw attention. What it has done, social media has made it much cheaper to be able to get your word out and to be heard. But again, there's a lot more than just putting your words out on social media that it is. Twitter, for example, Obama had almost 10 million followers. Ellen DeGeneres had surpassed him. So I think in certain cases, if you are a celebrity, social media will automatically draw attention to you, both your critics and the people who love you. But for ordinary people like us, it takes a lot more effort to get famous.
Let's talk next about public image. So in the case of celebrities, do you think that they are responsible for maintaining a decent public image?
Absolutely, because going back to your question earlier on, do they deserve the money that they earn? Of course, they're making the money, but at the same time, people are looking to them for status. They're looking at them for wealth. They've got millions of people following them. So yes, I believe they have the social responsibility and the ethical responsibility to behave in public, because the people you want to aspire are the people that you start acting in the likes of, and you tend to copy what they do. So what celebrities do, people may attempt to copy for better or for worse. So yeah, I believe they do have a really big responsibility in the public eye.
Thank you. That is the end of the speaking test.
Thank you.